Hi, I'm Gabby and welcome to my home. 4 years ago, my husband and I poured all of our money into this 1950s duplex that a lot of people would consider a teardown. I decided and convinced him that I wanted to do a fixer-upper. We sold our house, put all of our stuff in storage while we looked for a place and found this place that nobody else wanted. We went into quite a bit of debt, but we are out of it now and we're here to tell the tale. So I'm gonna take you around and show you all of the projects I DIY'd along the way, some things I learned, and give you a little tour. Let's go. This is the downstairs unit of this duplex. When we first bought it, we knew that we were going to rent one unit out to help us pay the mortgage, and we decided that we would live in the bottom unit and rent out the upstairs. The upstairs has a really good ocean view. Also, I'd rather other people be walking above me than myself have to worry about walking above my renters. Our place has a connection to the outdoor space, which I'll show you in another video, and that's really good for the dog and the kids. When we first bought this place, there was somebody living down here. They'd been living here for like 25 years. It was not in great shape, but aside from the big things we did, like new windows and floors, we took down the wall of the kitchen to open up this space. So we knocked down the walls. I had people help me with that while I was finishing up and living upstairs. They got started down here on tearing down everything from the kitchen and the bathroom, doing all the demo and big work like that, getting it ready for us to move in so that I could finish doing my DIY projects while we were living here and while we had the upstairs rented out. So it was kind of nice. We didn't have a crossover where it was never rented. We had someone living down here while we started the top and lived up there. Once that place was ready, we moved downstairs and rented out the top. So we made sure to always have somebody kind of helping us out with the giant mortgage. This wall that you see behind me when we first moved in was just a flat wall, and there was an old school wall heater. I decided to do a built-in fireplace surround, and I saw this inspiration picture and was like, I have to figure out a way to copy it. So this was my first time building faux floating shelves. The first thing I did was tear out the wall heater, have the plumber close all of that up. I patched the wall. I had done the drywall for the upstairs fireplace surround already, so I was not as much of a novice. That was my first time doing it. This was my second time. It wasn't perfect, but I covered up the wall unit with drywall, patched it, and then built this fireplace surround to fit the electric fireplace in it. Once I did that, I figured out how to build the floating shelves around it like my inspiration picture. I loved the look of how the bottom shelf wrapped around the surround of the fireplace. I was really into the look of Roman clay. I still am. I think it adds this like texture and warmth. So I used I went bold with the Roman clay on the center part, and then figured out how to build the floating shelves around it. They're faux floating shelves, so I used 2x2s as the support on the inside for the shelves, and then wrapped it with 1x around, and I did a miter edge so that they would fit perfectly together and just look like one solid shelf. I think this might be one of my favorite all-time ever DIYs. It makes me so happy to look at it every day. This was like such a cool solution in a room that doesn't have a ton of space, to find a way to do a built-in and make it not take up more room in the space, but still give it that like visual warmth and hominess that a built-in gives a house. So for the kitchen, I did similar to what I did for the upstairs unit. I had the guys help me pull everything out, demoed everything, started fresh, and used IKEA to design a kitchen for the space and semi-handmade for the fronts and panels Semi-Handmade is a company that builds custom for IKEA cabinets. It's really great when you want a more custom look for less because you have the IKEA boxes and the more elevated looking fronts. I loved the look from inspiration photos of a two-tone kitchen, so I got samples from Semi-Handmade and found two that I thought complemented each other well. And then I installed this kitchen myself, leveled all the cabinet boxes, installed this farmhouse sink. I love the farmhouse sink because it's so big and it makes the sink come right up to the edge so you don't have to lean over to do dishes. I find that it doesn't hurt my back as much when washing dishes. So I built the shelf for underneath it and cut and installed all the fronts for the cabinet and the drawers and hung all the handles and pulls. One story I love about this whole kitchen process from the upstairs and the downstairs. So the upstairs was my first kitchen that I had ever assembled, put together myself, and this was the second one. And for the upstairs, you know, I had my other subcontractors working on some other things. They were putting the bathroom together upstairs while I was doing the kitchen, so I would ask them for tips every once in a while. And I got to the end of installing the kitchen and the big panel on the back upstairs, I was so nervous to cut because there was only one panel and I didn't want to mess it up. So I asked the subcontractor to do it for me and I trusted him and he's amazing. He does great work, but he messed it up. It's such a learning lesson for me because I didn't trust myself. And number one, it's a good lesson because even the pros mess up. He's so good at what he does, it doesn't make him less of a pro. And number two, it gave me a little bit of confidence because I'm like, okay, if I mess up, there's a way to fix it, first of all. And also, I'd rather be the one messing up than having someone else mess up. So it was interesting going from that to this. This one, I cut the panel myself. I did mess up a little bit. It felt so good to go from that to this, and even my confidence over the course of a few months from doing that upstairs kitchen to doing this one grew enormously. And I trusted myself more with this one. So I'm really proud of both of the kitchens and the fact that I did them. I'm so happy with how they turned out. Once we lived here, we moved downstairs after everything was installed except the back panel was not installed yet. And the entire back wall where the tile is now was just the old drywall and it was a mess. And we lived that way for months, knowing that I wanted to tile it, but I had other things that I needed to do to make this space livable before I could get to that. And I had never tiled before, but I knew I wanted to try tiling and I thought this was a great time to try it because the kitchen is fairly simple and didn't require a ton of cuts except for around the big window. So I did the tile. I love how it turned out. By the way, I'm gonna link everything in the description and as I go, so you can find the link to the tile here. But it's just fun as I go through and think about these projects, how each one there were so many firsts along the way and each one gave me confidence to try the next first. There's such a story to each space. I remember doing the tile, I had sent my husband and my daughter out of town because I needed a full weekend to do it with no distractions. And I remember finishing it and being in the house by myself and popping a Corona, sitting on the countertop and looking back at it. So proud. It's fun when you have a home that brings alive so many memories in you. The dining room, when we first moved in, we kept pretty simple. It's not one of those spaces that needs to be finished. This was one of the last spaces I did in the house, was adding all the trim. And it just made it feel super finished and cozy. This was my first time doing wall trim other than the doors, which I'll show you. But it was a really fun, easy project to do. The biggest transformation, I think, for the least amount of money and effort. As you can see, I have ripped down my work because I'm about to do another transformation of this space. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. That's going to be the next project posted on my channel. I'm gonna build a built-in dining bench. It's something that I had always wanted to do for this space. I just didn't have the time, and I am really excited to make this space feel more finished and complete along with a new dining table and new dining chairs because my dining chairs are falling apart. Another thing I'm gonna do in this space is a built-in trash can. I have such a small kitchen. I did not have room for a built-in trash can when I was making my design plan. It just wasn't one of the most important things. There's only so much space for drawers and storage, and I wanted to hide the microwave and have it in a drawer. But our trash can is so small, so I have an idea to build in a trash can there and make it kind of cohesive with the built-in bench that I'm gonna put. So stay tuned for more on that. This hallway has undergone some major surgery since we first bought the place. This hallway closet actually went out much farther, and there was a very narrow walkway in between the bathroom door and the hallway door, and you had to walk around the corner, and it just closed off the space so much and made it so much darker. The shape of the hallway was a super long closet, and it just wasn't a very practical use of space. So we had the subcontractor move the wall in, which just opened it up completely. When we first moved in, I did a built-in in that closet similar to the one I did upstairs. But recently, when we had our second baby, I made some adjustments and I closed off the wall to the closet here and put it in our room so that I could turn the closet into a nook for our baby, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. One project that I did recently was building these giant bifold barn doors for both the laundry and coat closet. The closet where the laundry is now used to be a water heater, just like the one upstairs. And we had the water heater taken out and we turned it into a tankless, which we put in the garage just below so that we could use the full closet. We could only fit a combo washer and dryer in here, so this does both. But before this, the washer and dryer was outside in a shared space for both the upstairs and downstairs units. So it's really nice to be able to have a unit in here. I built in these drawers at the bottom underneath to give it a little pedestal and have space for all the laundry gear and extra space for laundry. I'm always finding places to put storage wherever I can, especially in a small 950 square foot house. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. This has to be one of my all-time favorite projects ever. I built these doors from scratch using 2x and plywood, white oak. I kind of used a tutorial on how to build a cabinet door to figure out how to build these on a larger scale. Sometimes there's a tutorial or a blog or something with an exact steps, and sometimes I'm just combining multiple tutorials or blogs to figure out how to make this thing. And in this case, I combined multiple. This was like one of the most challenging projects and also one of the most fulfilling projects that I've ever done, because I just feel like it adds so much warmth to the space. These solid, chunky wood doors, and I'm really happy with them. I also get a lot of questions about that shoe cabinet. I'll link it. It's amazing. It holds so many shoes, and it holds my husband's size 13 shoes. We had our shoes on a rack on the back of the door, but this is such a good solution for small home living because it fits so nicely and slenderly, is that a word, on the wall. The wood looked kind of fake and it was too much with the real wood of the barn doors. So I painted it. I love the cane that came like that, and I just think it like adds such a cool dimension. And I DIY'd the pictures above them. I have a tutorial on my Instagram about how I did it. It's like a ink to canvas transfer using glue, and then I built the frames as well. I have canvas frame how-to tutorials. Maybe I'll make them for YouTube one day. I love that little corner so much. It's one of my favorite corners in the house. In the bathroom, again, I did the half shiplap wall myself while I had the guys doing all the tile work in here. I was working on the kitchen. We needed to get this place livable as quick as possible. So because it wasn't livable before, I needed to hire people to do some of the work while I was learning as I went. So this is one situation where most of what's done in here was done by subcontractors. The tile in the shower, the tile on the floor, and then I did the shiplap wall. I wallpapered and I built the recessed medicine cabinet and designed and hung everything. I saw the inspiration for the shower again on Pinterest. I love the shape of the tile with the dark grout and the faux wood tile nook niche. Called a niche, right? So I kind of just recreated that based off of a picture I saw, and I love the look. Again, I think it's super neutral while not being vanilla. I always try to go for stuff in terms of resale that most people might like, but that's not your typical like super sterile white kind of vibe. The wallpaper is peel and stick. It was my first time wallpapering with peel and stick, and I want to say peel and stick is a little bit harder in my opinion because you have to get it just right, but I just love the look of the leaves and the colors, and I just feel like it added so much to the bathroom. It's like the perfect thing that I was looking for. My daughter's bedroom has been through a few different iterations. When we moved in here, she was in a crib, and a couple years ago, I turned it into a big girl room for her, and I added trim to the walls. I did this kind of built-in IKEA hack for her because she loves art and drawing and could draw for hours. So I built this little desk workstation for her and cubbies. Again, storage in a little house is everything. I'm super happy with how the storage situation is in this room, and she is already on me about transforming it again because apparently her style has changed and she prefers blue more than pink, and she has already given me a tour and shown me around all the things that she wants me to do when I move her brother in this room with her. She wants me to build her bunk beds, and she said make it more of like a blue color because she thinks he's gonna like blue, and she's got lots of ideas. So that is another project that I'm gonna do in here down the road when my baby is ready to move from the Nook into a room once he's sleeping through the night and can share a room with her. When we first moved into this house, the door to the exterior was actually in this room and not in the other room. So I decided to flip-flop them since I knew that the other room was going to be the primary bedroom and this was going to be the secondary bedroom. I didn't want a door going to the outside, and I really wanted to put sliding doors in one of them anyway. So when we redid all the new windows and doors, we had them close this off, put a window instead, and then put the sliding doors in the other room. This is our primary bedroom. When we first moved in, there was no door there. It was all windows. So we decided to make the flow to the outdoor space easier through here and put in a sliding door and turn this into the primary bedroom. And in the last year, when I converted this closet into a baby nook, I gave it a little refresh and I lime washed the walls. That was my first time lime washing a few years back. Put in this fireplace. I didn't do a surround because the walkway obviously is a little bit narrow, so I just recessed it into the existing wall, built this fireplace mantle. Several months back while I was pregnant, I had seen this epoxy art and I'd always wanted to try it, and I went for it. It was very challenging and I had a lot of frustrations along the way, but I cannot believe how this piece of art turned out. I'm so happy with it. It's got to be one of my favorite pieces of art. I just wanted a really big piece of art, and big pieces of art are very expensive. So I was like, maybe I can create it myself. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out or how it was going to go, but I'm super excited about it. I watched a lot of YouTube tutorials to try to figure out how to get that wave, and there are some things I might do differently next time, but overall, I'm really happy with it. Every time I lay in bed and stare at it, it just like brings this sense of calm and zen to me, which is exactly what I wanted over the dresser on that wall. Over here, we have the famous baby Nook. This thing has, I think, almost 50 million views on Instagram. I got a lot of feedback on it, and I'll just leave it there. Feel free to mosey on over to Instagram and check out the reel and watch the details on how I did the whole thing. But this was a closet with a door from the outside, and when we found out that we were pregnant with a second baby, I knew I didn't want them to share a room right off the bat, and our room is so tiny that I just felt like I wanted the baby to have his own private space but still be nearby eventually until a year, you know, until he's sleeping better throughout the night and could eventually share a room with his sister. So I came up with this idea to turn this closet into a little baby nook. While I was 6 and 7 and 8 months pregnant, I worked on moving the wall here, installing this pocket door and closing off the door from the hallway. This makes sense in the long run as well because we only have one closet in here that my husband and I share. So after the baby moves out of this room, we will be able to turn that into a second closet and have more space for our clothes. I have a very minimal wardrobe right now because we just don't have space for much clothes, which is fine, but it would be nice, you know, to be able to not squeeze everything into one closet and have a little bit more space. So now while the baby is in there, we don't close the pocket door, we leave it open at all times so it performs as more of like a nook off of our bedroom. And then obviously when it is a closet in the future, it will be nice to have the door to close it off. And that's it. Thank you so much for coming along with me on my tour. I have 2 other videos where I'm sharing the upstairs unit of the duplex and the exterior. So go watch those and don't forget to subscribe to see more videos like this. I am so excited for my next series of DIYs. I have so many hopes and dreams for the future and doing another house and lots of other houses and continuing to learn and grow. And I hope you come along with me.